Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. This gentleman does photography, but a little bit different. He does it from the air. And I'm talking about drone photography. He does traditional as well, but a lot of the stuff he's been working with is video, production, aerial photography, thermal imaging, and something called mapping, which I completely don't know about. So that's why I'm going to throw it at him. Adrian is with us once again on the program. Welcome back. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. Thanks for asking. How are you?
I'm good. So now we pretty much have drone shots from above, and we gave some examples, went a little deep into that last time. Mapping, though, is that what I'm thinking, like traditional mapping?
Yeah, so it's a way of collecting data using the drone to either map out construction sites, residential sites. There's a project right now that's going on to map the entire state of Ohio. So
Wow.
Collecting this type of data, looking at geospatial information and getting near accurate, as accurate as we can get the information to be, helps to visualize things. So think about Google Earth, but doing that manually.
Now, why would you have to do that? I mean, if you have something like Google Earth, or because it's so detailed?
Well, if you look at kind of the use cases for it, so if I'm working with a construction company, which I do that quite a bit, they're looking at, say, buying a piece of land, and they're in California. They want to know what the condition of that particular parcel is, so you can map that out. But it isn't just getting aerial images. You can get a topographical map of that. You can get elevation data. You can get the data that they need to do earthworks and site works and preparation. And once you map something like that out digitally, then you can add their site plans to it. You can add plumbing, water, electrical. You can add all those data to it in near centimeter accuracy digitally. So you can share that with those different construction units and teams, and they have a point to work from remotely. So that's how it's being used a lot right now. So yeah.
What does that look like? So let's say you go up, you're taking the shots or video of a certain geo area. What do you do with that? Do you give it to somebody else to add the detail, or do you do that and then present it?
Well, I can do the work. So generally speaking, the software does the processing of that data. So the stronger the piece of software, or depending on the detail of the type of software, you either have like Pix4D Survey or DJI Terra. Those are things that process that data. They look at the EXIF data that's on there, the geo data that's on there, and they get those points. Then the process is called photogrammetry. That's where the pictures come together to be able to stitch and overlap and create that map. And then usually in some kind of CAD software or something like that, you can take those overlays and add it. There are even use cases where you have, you ever seen ODOT or any Department of Transportation on the side of the road? They have your little base station in your rover where they're walking around the little metal pole.
Yes.
So you can ping different GPS coordinates. So you say you see an anomaly or you see where something is supposed to be. So you usually pin your corners, your four corners of your particular site, and then one point in the middle. And all that data gets tied back into the drone so that it can geo-reference and geo-correct the data that it's collecting from the air. So it's quite an involved process of doing. But once you create those points and you make sure that they are relatively accurate, then you can use that to plot, plan, and process.
How do you know this stuff?
Trial and error. It started off, observing. I've seen some surveyors in the field doing things like that and just being genuinely curious. There are several videos that I've watched online. I've talked to a couple of local colleges that train surveyors to try to just learn what it means, because it isn't just putting the drone in the air and getting images. Anybody can do that, but you got to be a problem solver. What can the drone do more efficiently, more effectively, and in less time? So that's one of the things that drones can help do. You can cover 100 acres in 20 minutes. Now, there are reasons to not necessarily do it that fast if you want data accuracy, but you can cover a large amount of territory relatively quickly. If you take the time to plan that out appropriately with your right ground control points, then you can have an efficient, clean set of data that any construction site can use relatively quickly.
Amazing. 3D modeling is something else you do. Tell us about that.
Similar principles. So it's how you collect the data in a traditional mapping environment. You're going to do a nadir or straight down flight plan. When you're trying to do 3D modeling, you're going to have a series of different angles that you're going to want to pick up. So 6 degrees, 9 degrees, 75 degrees. I sometimes do 3 different flight plans to catch those different angles, because then the same process of photogrammetry with the right data can now recreate a 3D model either of a building, a 3D model of a plot of land, really a 3D model of anything that you capture at that point. So those are used, we create digital twins for, say, cell tower inspection. Then once you get done mapping that, you can basically send that cell phone tower to the client, and then you have all the individual images that are also stored that they can kind of inspect the tower virtually with high resolution images that they don't have to be on site to do. And if you've seen those towers, a lot of times they're really tall. So it's a safer, faster, easier way of inspecting a tower.
I got to believe it's very important in the scheme of things, because there's just any issues structurally with those towers, big damage could happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that's the thing that gets interesting about it is it becomes a volume game at that point in time. You can capture detail that you can't see from the ground that would take a manned unit. So climbing up there, getting up to that point, some of these towers can be hundreds of feet tall, and you can do that with a drone. The drone's not afraid of heights. The drone's not going to fall. Well, it shouldn't fall. So you can do those things a lot more efficiently, and that's what's saving time, saving money, and really helping streamline this particular industry. So, and that's the interesting thing about it is that principle applies to just about anything. You can do a building that way. There's a lot of tower inspections, bridge inspections, a lot of things pertaining to infrastructure. Dam, I had a conversation with DNR about inspecting dams to try to look for cracks and breaks and things in there that, regular and consistent maintenance items, you can detect those issues ahead of time before it's, cracking and, you're having a dam rupturing. You can figure that stuff out ahead of time and do regular maintenance to it to keep it from having a catastrophic event. So it's really changed the game for a lot of things.
Yeah, totally. And I got to believe saving money too, because, somebody I've heard of, because I work in the broadcast industry, to pay people to change. I'm not exaggerating on this, but this is what I heard. A very tall tower. I believe it's in Iowa. I mean, it is screaming high. Don't know the exact height, but to change the bulbs on the tower for navigation, somebody makes like 30 grand just to climb that tower once. Because it's so dangerous and there's no other way to do it. You can't send a drone up there to take it apart and, change the bulb. And it takes them a long time to get up there. And you get so many different weather conditions. I'm talking, it is mammoth, this tower, kind of almost world famous because it's so tall. But yeah, so this, instead of somebody climbing, not that high of a tower, but just to structurally check things out. What's the highest that you've ever flown a drone? What do you think?
Well, the highest that I've ever flown, well, the number is pretty high. It was roughly 8,700 feet, 8,800 feet. And the only reason for that is because I was on a mountaintop in Nevada and I could fly so the hotel that we stayed at was 8,400 feet up, 8,336 or something like that. So I took some pictures and captured a storm coming in towards the mountains from there. But yeah, so the highest legal limit, 400 or 400 feet above your particular structure. So in that case, I just took off from that high elevation. I said, all right.
Interesting way to maybe get around it because you're already up that high. So another, few hundred feet. But let's say you're at ground level, whatever, sea level. Let's go with sea level. The highest that you could fly is about 400 feet ish.
400 feet. 400 feet is the legal limit. It doesn't mean that you can't fly above that. You just have to have special permission to do so.
Got it.
So the drone can fly. The drone can do many things. It's just once you're operating above a certain airspace, then you have to get permission to operate in that airspace, which is not impossible. But you have to go through the right notifications and let people know where you're going to be flying, when you're going to be flying, and how long you're going to be flying. So there are steps to take to be able to do that, but it is possible to do.
So out of curiosity, Um, if you could push a drone, sky's the limit, literally, and you wanted to send it up, what do you think the highest that you're on the ground and you're going to send it up? How high do you think?
Well, technically speaking, I think the M350 is rated to like 12 miles or something like that.
Wow.
So if it can go 12 miles out, I imagine it could still be able to go at least that up. And the piece being is being able to maintain your signal is the issue. The drone could
That's
probably keep going, it just won't have a signal.
that's
That's
where
not
I
a good
was.
feeling.
That was
Yeah,
my next question. So you're saying if you're at point A, you can take it out to point B up to 12 miles on that one
it
particular.
and it depends on, yeah. So I believe the Matrice 350 RTK has a 12 something in there. That's what I'm thinking.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
some of my smaller drones are, 2 miles, 2.5 miles that you can
Okay.
see. Usually, the ruling for things is beyond visual line of sight is the legal. So how long can it physically go? Well, it's longer than that, but everything
So
in the efforts of safety first, you want to keep your eyes on your prize, so to speak.
so I'm understanding now that it can go rule of thumb, we're not talking, legally here, but just the best practice from where you can see it. So if you can't see it
Yep.
anymore, it's probably a little too far away.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep.
Interesting.
And now the only situations where I fly traditionally farther is when I'm mapping a large piece of land out. So on some of the construction jobs or sites or agricultural based pieces, you can get a little bit far away. But I generally plan flights by battery time as well. So in
Mhm.
that standpoint, shouldn't get too far away from me, but
Have you ever
not by
gotten
practice.
lost? Let's say it's out there. Do you always know where it is? Or worst case scenario, return to home. It'll come back to you.
I have lost the drone before, and
Like lost gone or
lost, gone, never recovered, never saw
oh
it
my
again.
heart. I
That's
mean,
it.
I just like
Yeah, yeah.
painful.
Well, it's operator error. Any time that happens, it's usually the pilot's fault. And in this case, it was the pilot's fault. Um, there are
Ah,
certain things that you can do to start off. I was in a remote area. I did not allow for the satellites to get connected. I was in a hurry to get the work done, so I kind of just took off. And it'll fly, and it continued to fly, completed most of the mission. When it came time to return home, it had recorded a home point somewhere not where I was.
oh my gosh.
So,
So what I
yeah,
heard you say is satellite points. So it's setting up coordinates, or you should before you take off. So now you have reference points, and it sounds like you just let's go, went up, and
yep, yep. That's the what's that? One of the rules they found in the machoism. You just nah, man, I got this, and you don't have this. So it's always
that's
good to make your safety checks from the get go. And pretty much anytime you don't do that, you're setting yourself up for failure.
that's crazy. You know how that because then if it's up there, you what do you got to work with? Just let's say you're in the woods. All right, trees. I don't know where those trees are. So how am I going to even bring it home if I wanted to? Um, and then if you press the home button, I mean, by that time now your battery's probably on its, tail end
Mhm.
there. Wow. Sorry.
Well, the thing about it, the recommended procedure is to get your home point saved and recorded as you should before you take off. So in that situation, had I have allowed for the home point to set itself,
Yeah.
then when I lost signal or the drone battery got to its end, it is programmed to return back to me. But since in this particular case, I didn't set the home point, it
Hmm.
it set one somewhere in the air and goes, okay, I'll come back here. Don't know where you are. Don't really care, but this is my home point. So
Wow. Wow. I'm
yeah.
not going to ask you how much that drone cost.
Yeah, well, hey, I had two of them. If that makes, doesn't make it better, but yeah, I had two of them.
Always have backup. Um,
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
enjoy doing video production?
Video production is exciting. It can be fairly demanding depending on, when you think of an army of one, you really need several different people part of the process. You know, production. A lot of times people don't necessarily know what they want. They know what they essentially what the end product to be, but there's a lot of planning that goes into it. So I work more so with the team, and we talk out things. A lot of the work is done before you even get the camera out, by
Mm.
having a conversation with the end client. Say, what do you need shot? What is the storyline that you're trying to sell? You know, talk about. Is this for product selling? Is this for, you know, what is it that you're trying to accomplish with this video? Because the thing about it is, people like things, you know, quick and fast, and they want it to be inexpensive. And a lot of times that's not the case. A guy called me yesterday because, yeah, man, I got 9 buildings I want you to take a look at and capture video before and after. I want you to edit it. I want you to score it to music. And, you know, I want all these things. He was saying, man, can I do like 300? I'm like, an hour? Yeah. So there's a lot of unrealistic expectations as to what it takes to actually create these things.
Sure.
So for like every hour of film footage that you collect, to me, it's like 5 to 10 hours of editing on top of that. So all of those things come into play, and so that's time. And, you know, if you want a good quality, solid editor, that's time. So that's the thing that I think in the industry, a lot of people want the marketing. They want to see, hey, I want something for social media. I want to do this. I want all this content, but I don't want to pay any money for it. And I think that goes without saying in a lot of different areas. People, you know, because there's you know, every time Dick and Harry out there can do some type of footage, so it becomes to devalue the market, you know. But I enjoy
Well,
it, but I don't enjoy having to try to convince somebody of what it actually costs to do the work.
for sure. Well, they're not the right client, and
There
nor
you
they
go.
are for anybody. You know what they're a perfect client for? Perfect. One of these.
Yeah, I said, get out your phone and have at it. I was like, you want me on 9 roofs,
Yeah.
and you want that twice, and you
Oh,
want, okay, all right,
yeah. Apparently he hasn't checked the price of gas lately because even just a
right,
drive to alone or whatever. Um,
right, right.
and just the editing. There's so much involved, right down to color correction and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's it takes a lot of time to, and you know what? If somebody's doing video, you're up against other productions that could be much more higher in budget. So you want to at least, even if it's a YouTube ad, you know, you're up against a video, music video that, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more. You want it to be at least in the zone. So it takes time to,
Mm-hmm.
even for 30 seconds, it's got to look good. There's a lot that goes into that, for
Well,
sure.
you think about the Super Bowl, you know what I'm saying? How much money did they pay for that 30-second spot?
Oh, oh,
So, and
it,
and I bet you they didn't get out a cell phone to make it. Now, if it's
uh,
Apple, I'm sure they've done something that way. But
well, you know, that
yeah,
would be something there if they shot it all with an iPhone, right? And edited it in the phone, did nothing but. I have a friend who used to work with her in radio, and she got a little hobby, but now it's turned into, you know, some side hustle action. And she's taking photos, like events, you know, let's say somebody has a christening or something like that, on her phone, on her phone. But I mean, this is, you know, that's a lower level kind of thing. What we're talking about here, you know, different type
you
of
know,
production value.
I'm not even mad at that, because if you look at the iPhone 15 Pro Max, it can shoot Apple ProRes, it can shoot 422, it can shoot ProRes. You can do some things with it. It's not,
Yeah,
that isn't even necessarily the issue, what you're capturing with, because you can go out and get some high-end glass and spend thousands upon thousands of dollars and maybe not have a better result than what you get when you're
sure,
editing off the phone. So it isn't that, you know, if you can capture the right things with the phone, in the editing room is where it comes to life. So
totally. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not mad at all about somebody capturing with phone. I do it sometimes myself, but
But there's also something called creativity that you need to start with, then the equipment, then the editing, and then the creativity has to lend itself. Not like, you know, you don't get you know, Premiere and start editing and, oh, we're done. You press a button. Doesn't work that way either. So there's a lot along the process. On your website, in the portfolio, there are some photographs. Of course, some of them from the sky, obviously taken by a drone. Some of the ones that were taken on the ground. What are you using for that? Is that like a DSLR or what's going on there?
yeah. So I have a Nikon D850, which I've been using for most of my real estate photography that I do. Um, I've shot Canons a few times, but mostly the DSLR. Um, I do more of a bracketed shot list. taking multiple exposures to merge those together. That's kind of
Sure.
my place. It's easier for me to shoot that way than try to get the lighting right every
Sure.
single time. But yeah, DSLR shots.
Yep.
I am going to try the whole cell phone versus DSLR. So put the
Ooh,
cell phone in raw mode. I just want to see where it ends up.
I'd love to see that. By the way, big fan of
Yeah.
Nikon, and I have friends that are, into Canon, and we have these debates all the time. The funny thing is, the the millimeter size of the lens can't swap them out. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
that
problem.
hurts your feelings. You look at the Z series. I went and picked up a Z6 II and tried to put my D850 lens on there and just, hurt my feelings.
Yeah,
It does
yeah.
not fit.
And for
And I
anybody,
should have known that. I just, yeah, hey.
when you mentioned RAW, for anybody that doesn't know, RAW is just the highest quality you could possibly get. File size is huge, as
Yep.
opposed to, 16 megapixels or whatever it might be. This is much, much more going on there. But yeah, interesting, to compare the two, what it might look like when you
Yeah.
sell.
And because the phones are, they're really coming along well. And, for certain settings, certain situations, I imagine you can get pretty solid results.
Sure. And I've noticed a difference. I'm not an Apple person. So I had a 21 Galaxy and just got a 24
Hmm.
like 2 weeks ago. And with the camera, I notice a difference. I really do.
Hmm.
Like there is a certain sharpness going on there that I didn't have previously. And everybody would come to me, "Hey, take the picture. Your camera is good. This is
Hmm.
even better." So, another 2 years down the road, because you only get 2 years on your battery. Time for another
Right,
phone.
right.
They
And they're
got
like,
you
yeah,
there.
get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, Adrian, how do we find you? How do we connect with you? Where will you go if it makes sense, geographically to do a project?
So I'll travel anywhere. Like I said, I've done a couple of international projects, mostly Belize, but try to stay within Ohio, Columbus region. But I travel all through Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, Kentucky. It all depends on the opportunity and what needs to be
Sure.
done. So it doesn't bother me to travel. It's just got to be worth my while to travel.
100%.
But can check out things on the website that you mentioned, ARO Aerial .com. The email is the same, aroariel@gmail.com, or directly on my cell, which is 419-612-8379, or there is a separate business line, which is 614-622-8786.
Awesome. And the one thing we didn't really get into, we mentioned it quick last time, was the roof inspections, where,
Mm-hmm.
if somebody is in that line of work, contracting, whatever it might be, instead of depending on a human on a roof, just another way to get it done more efficiently and maybe even with more detail, I would have to imagine too, and documentation.
Yeah, so what I traditionally do is map out a roof, or basically take enough pictures of that roof, stitch it together to create a digital twin of the roof. In the same standpoint, you can get high resolution images that can depict certain anomalies that are on the roof. Now, not everything. So there are certain things that can require physical inspection. For instance, if the roof itself is soft, the drone can't pick up the fact that there's soft or dry rotting or any of those types of things on the roof, but it can pick out your major anomalies that are on there in an easy to share digital way. Because you think about that when you're working with the adjusters and things, they're going to want some kind of pictorial proof.
Sure.
So you'll be able to have the images that you need to be able to do that, and a way to circle through those. There's even a program that I've used that has an AI aspect or component of that after you scan the roof digitally, it'll go through and use AI to pick out and highlight the anomalies. So
Wow.
there's a lot of technology that is being used to really streamline this and add some additional pieces. And the thing that I like too is on the thermal end of things sees where there's heat loss that you can't see with the naked eye. So I like the combination of thermal and standard RGB to be able to inspect and pull together a roof. So it's quicker.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
So many
so
different things you can get done with a drone that I think a lot of us don't think of. Or maybe people are aware, but didn't know you do it. So there we go.
yeah.
Appreciate you being here and all the insight, and short moment of silence for that lost drone. And
Yes.
we'll catch up next time. Okay.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.